Welcome back. My name is Dr. Carl Baird, and today I wanted to help you get started weight training with arthritis by providing 8 exercises that will help you build strength without stressing your joints. So before we get started, there's just a few things that I wanted to mention. First and most importantly is that building strength is the best thing that you can do to treat your arthritis and prevent your arthritis from getting worse. But with that being said, there are a few other things that we have to keep in mind. That the exercises that we choose when we're strength training with arthritis not only have to be effective, but they also have to be safe, meaning they limit the impact that goes through our joints so that we can build strength without stressing our joints. And the other thing is that we really have to focus on form, that strength training can make your joint pain worse if there's not a very strong emphasis on form, which is what I try to do in this video, but also all my other previous videos as well, so be sure to check those out. And lastly, we want our exercises to be progressive, meaning once we kind of have the foundation of the movement, then we want to add weight so that we can really focus on building strength and not just getting stuck in the same place and doing the same exercises over and over. You don't get stronger that way. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. One of the primary muscle groups that we want to target for weight training with arthritis is your glutes or your hip muscles. And one of the best ways to get started building strength in these muscles that's both safe on your joints and targets these muscles is with the glute bridge. So to perform, we just start on the ground, knees bent, feet on the floor. We'll put our arms out at 45. From there, we're just going to press through our feet to lift our hips up into the air. And at the top, we want to feel that nice, strong contraction in the glutes and back down. So as you can see, a pretty simple movement, but there's not a lot of impact through my joints, and it really targets my glutes. The other thing I love about it is that it's very easy to progress. So once you feel comfortable doing the glute bridge, there's a lot of variations that can make it a lot harder. I'll link a video below so you can check them out. Building a strong core is another important aspect of weight training with arthritis that will limit impact on our joints as we get older. And one of my favorite exercises to get started is a simple elbow plank. One, because there's not a lot of movement, but two, it really does target your core here. So a couple ways to get started. Easiest variation is on your knees. So I'm just on my knees, feet up, and holding this plank position here. That feels okay. Then I can come up onto my toes and hold the plank here. Just like the glute bridge, there's a lot of different variations of the plank that once you can hold that movement for 60 seconds is usually the goal, you can make it a lot more challenging. I'll also link a video in the below, show you how to do that. Now remember, your core isn't simply your six-pack muscles, it's everything that surrounds your spine. So another great strengthening exercise for arthritis is the side plank. And much like the plank, there's a couple variations. Just make sure that your elbow is right under your shoulders. In the first variation, we're just gonna come up on our knees. So I'm gonna lift my hips off the ground and hold this side plank position. I usually aim for about 45 seconds. Now, if you can do that pretty easily, the next progression is toe planks or foot planks, where it's the same thing, but now instead of resting on my knees, I'm on my toes, and you can feel that this is a lot more challenging, but same thing, work your way up to 45 seconds. The step up is one of my favorite exercises for strength training with arthritis because it's a great way to build single leg strength that doesn't require a lot of impact going through the knee, and it's easy to progress. So let me show you the easiest variation, just starting on a very low step, pressing up off the top leg and coming up. So if pain and soreness is a big problem for you, specifically in the knee, start low. But from there, if you feel comfortable with that, all you have to do to make this exercise a little more challenging is raise the height of your step. And so again, you can build even further strength just by changing the height. And lastly, all you have to do to make it even more challenging is just hold weight in each hand. And so you can make this a very challenging exercise just based on your ability level, but still not a lot of impact going through your knee or your low back, which makes it a great option for strength training with arthritis. I mentioned this in almost every video that I put together, but learning how to hip hinge is one of the most important exercises to master to limit the impact that goes through your joints, not only as you progress through your strength training routine, but as you move throughout your day. So that's why I like to include the banded hip hinge in my strength training for arthritis series, which you take your red rubber resistance band, you stand right on the middle, try to keep your feet about hip width apart, and then we're just gonna do a hip hinge movement, which is reaching our hips back while I keep a neutral spine, just and feel tension in the hamstrings, and then I come back up. So this hip hinge movement pattern is great because, one, it targets our hamstrings and glutes, which, as I mentioned earlier, one of the muscle groups we really want to target to limit impact on our joints. But it's an important movement pattern that also teaches us to keep that neutral spine while we do dynamic movements, which is also going to limit impact on your joints. So give the banded hip hinge a try. Let me know how it goes. The farmer's carry is another great full body strengthening exercise that doesn't put a lot of impact through your joints, making it a great option for strength training with arthritis. To perform, you just need 2 dumbbells or 2 kettlebells, light squeeze on the weight, roll those shoulders back, and then you're just going to walk in place, making sure that you're keeping a nice upright trunk and not letting the weights pull you back and forth. But that's as easy as it is. Pick up something heavy and walk around with it. Give it a try, let me know how it goes. Squatting is another great exercise to build lower body strength to limit impact on your joints. But with that being said, this is an exercise you have to be careful with, because if you don't do it right, it can actually make your arthritis worse. So that's why the variation I like to start people with is a box squat. So you have a box or a chair behind you. It's just there to protect you and help you learn the movement. So starting in front of the box, I'm going to send my hips back and then come down to touch the box and press back up. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with that quite yet, the other thing you can do is send the hips back and actually sit all the way down and then press through the legs to stand back up, and then work your way to a full box squat. The kettlebell deadlift is another great full body strengthening exercise for people with arthritis, but like the squat, if it's not done correctly, it can make it worse. So you really have to pay attention to form here. So to perform, you start with the weight on the ground, feet on the outside of the kettlebell, so not standing too far back like that. From there, you're going to perform your same hip hinge. Once you can't go any lower with the hinge, that's when you bend your knees. You want to keep your hips down, chest up, and from there, press through your feet to lift that kettlebell to the top. And then setting it down, you also have to pay attention. You're going to hinge and then bend the knees to get it to the ground. So again, be careful with this one. Start with the lighter weight, but as you start to feel more comfortable with the movement, the heavier weight you can go, the more strength you can build, the less impact on your joints. Give it a try. Let me know how it goes. So remember, building strength is one of the best things you can do to treat arthritis and prevent your arthritis from getting worse. But with that being said, we got to make sure that we pick exercises that are both safe and effective, and that we really focus on performing them with correct form to prevent any extra stress going through our joints. So go ahead and give those 8 exercises a try. Again, my name is Dr. Carl Baird. If you do have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I do read them and I'm happy to answer. Thanks so much for watching.